This is gonna be so nice. So welcome back, everybody. As you can see, we got a little bit of a change out here at the chop shop. We now have us a bulk fuel container for diesel out here. So I'm gonna explain why we're doing some of the things that we're doing this year. It was brought up on a recent live stream, and why this financially makes sense. Maybe something that you wanna look into. Plus we have some future plans to add even more fuel storage out here. So yes, as you can see, we bit the bullet and we got us a 500-gallon diesel storage tank. We've got a 20-gallon a minute stay right fuel pump, and this one runs on 110 volts. So a quick backstory how I wound up getting this. I've been seriously considering this for a long period of time, but it's a big upfront financial investment, especially when you have to purchase your own tank. So I tried calling a huge company locally who I won't name because they've actually got a really good reputation, and I could never once get a salesman to call me back after days and days of trying. I could call and get a hold of people at the office, nice and friendly. Nobody would ever call and quote me. But I know somebody personally that just got quoted for a 500-gallon tank and a pump from them, and it was $2,400 just for the pump and tank. Ouch. But I was curious, I wanted to hear that, then you still have to fill it with fuel. Well, since I can never get anybody from that company to call me back after a week of trying, it's actually a few weeks later now, nobody's still called me, I found out about another company locally. By the way, I'm gonna give them a shout out. They have no idea I have a YouTube channel, I get no kickbacks, no nothing, but J&J Strong, it's Johnson & Johnson Transport out of Madison, Florida. I'll give an up close shot here. So if you're anywhere in the North Florida area, they deliver to a huge area, many counties. You may want to consider them. Here's where things got exciting for me. When I called and talked to the nice lady at the front desk, said, hey, we're really looking for doing some diesel here. And by the way, I should say why. We have 2 tractors. We're about to get a 3rd tractor because we demo those here on the channel. We do a lot of work. We lease another 38 acres. We have 51 acres ourselves. So we burn through a lot of diesel. We recently got a diesel 0-turn mower. Oh, I cannot wait for mowing season to use that thing. And we just got us our first ever diesel off/on-road vehicle to replace our aging Polaris Ranger that's been breaking down on us. So it makes sense to go ahead and get some bulk fuel storage here. So whenever I called, they told me the tank, the very expensive, almost $2,000 tank, is free. Huh? Okay. Now you have to meet a yearly commitment of a certain amount of fuel, or you pay a tank rental fee. I'm okay with that. I don't know if we're quite gonna hit it this year. We're gonna try. We're gonna do a lot of work on the channel. The one thing you have to do is buy your own pump. So I own this pump. A pretty expensive initial investment. Fill-Rite makes some of the best pumps out there, and I decided to go ahead and get away from manual like I have on my truck pump and tank combo and go to 110 volts. Here's the awesome part. I decided to put this out here because we have solar power. So in the event of, say, another major hurricane and power outage like we experienced last year, we're still pumping fuel even though I went with a 110 volt pump. Plus 20 gallons a minute. It's gonna be so nice for filling tractors and vehicles and equipment instead of having to do my hand pump. And don't get me wrong, I love my hand pump that's in my truck, but it's slow compared to this. So all I had to do was buy the pump and buy the fuel. I thought that was an excellent deal. Now, why do we have so much fuel on hand? Again, for, well, some preparation, some outages, some emergencies. Things are just crazy in the world right now, and we're getting more and more equipment that runs on diesel. All of those things combined make sense to have it here on the property. Plus, diesel is actually known for long-term storage. It does relatively well. Although we're about to put an additive in here, a biocide. So let me tell you why it's in this specific location. Being in Florida, we get a lot of heat and humidity, and when you store diesel, it's known to build up algae in there. You'll see the little white chunks in there that plugs things up. I can't stand that. So I'm gonna run a biocide in here to make sure that doesn't happen, and we're gonna try to turn our diesel over enough and get fresh in there that that's not a concern. The people that delivered this said, as long as you use it within a year plus, you should be okay. But I put it right here because this area is always shaded. You can see my equipment room over here blocks the sun that sets in the west. So this is just gonna stay shaded all the time. We don't want extreme heat and cool changes to build up condensation or to, well, help that algae growth in there. I also have it sloped downhill. That's something they recommended. There is a big plug on this end. My thoughts are if we do build up any solids, they should settle toward the lower end, especially as we stir this up and fill it. And if you ever need to clean the tank out, you want your drain on the downhill side. Now, some of you are probably going to ask, why is this not in a containment area? A tank this size or smaller does not require it. I'm not saying we won't in the future. We potentially may, but brand new tank, nice and safe. I think we're good. So again, what I'm most excited about, I was gonna run a plug out over here, but it's easy just to plug an extension cord in here. We're gonna clean all that up. We're gonna make us a handle holder over here. They added me an automatic cutoff handle to this instead of the little flimsy kind of poking handle that goes up here. You can see it's on skids, and we can move this around later on after we pump a few hundred gallons out of it. The plug on this end, that's kind of why we wanted it sloping this direction. And not much else to it. We are super excited and feel so comfortable and blessed to have this here on the property. Now, anytime another outage or emergency happens, we've got enough fuel that we don't have to go anywhere. This was such a flawless process and I thought relatively affordable that I've went ahead and got on their wait list. They currently don't have 300-gallon non-ethanol tanks, but we're gonna put another tank over here and we're gonna start carrying and stocking our own non-ethanol fuel. We use a lot of that every year as well. It's just not convenient around here. The closest station that carries diesel and non-ethanol to me is a 20-mile round trip, and it's becoming very aggravating running back and forth picking that up. Now you're probably wondering about my diesel tank in the truck. We're still gonna keep that. There's gonna be times that we're gonna be working off the property with tractors, planning on hauling some around and doing some work for friends and family. So think back last year, 5 days straight, I was over at my parents' after that major hurricane come through, running a tractor all day long, 8-10 hours a day. We burnt through a ton of fuel. I still need a fuel tank in my truck. We may actually build us a little station over here with a roof, although they told me the majority of their tanks are outside. These are sealed up. I shouldn't have any issues with rain. The pumps are rated for that, but I think it's gonna make me feel a little better to get a roof over it. No point in building that until we get our non-ethanol tank. All right, so I'm about to show you, we're gonna run some biocide in this, turn the tank over, get everything nice and mixed, explain what that's all about. But before we get to that point, y'all, I wanna say a huge shout out and thank you to y'all. It's you that support the channel and support us with affiliate sales and all the other stuff that makes this social media thing work. And the reason we have this is because of y'all. We don't ever talk about it on our videos, but it gets brought up a lot on our live streams every week with a bunch of people. A lot of y'all shop through our affiliate stores. There's all different kinds, but one of our biggest one is an Amazon store. And well, we actually qualified for a bonus over the last couple of months because enough stuff was purchased through there by y'all. We discussed that. We don't hide it. I don't know why a lot of people do. Some people just don't want to see you succeed, but we always talk about our successes. Thanks to y'all, over the last few months combined, we hit enough of a bonus that we took that money and we invested it right in fuel. We've actually always told y'all, usually our Amazon affiliate money kind of goes toward our fuel bill for the month. And with that little addition of a bonus, this was covered. We can't thank y'all enough. Now we have a little extra peace of mind and fuel to work with for many months, thanks to y'all. I want to acknowledge that because it means the world to us that the channel's growing the way that it is and that we have extra side money to do things like this. Thank you. All right, so again, a huge concern is buildup in your tank, algae. I know you're thinking, how is it possible for that to live in fuel? It absolutely does build up and live in diesel. I have plugged up the fuel line in my John Deere tractor multiple times because I get such big algae chunks coming out of some of these off-road diesel tanks around here. My father has had to pull his diesel tank completely off of his John Deere tractor and clean it all out and dump it because his plugged up so much. When I fill 5-gallon containers, you look down in there, you'll see those black floating chunks everywhere. Go look it up on the internet. It 100% sure exists. And I have noticed I don't tend to find that with on-road diesel down here, but I for sure find it with off-road diesel. And it's most likely because off-road diesel tanks don't get turned over nearly as often as on-road vehicle. People are pumping out of them all day long with vehicles. Now you're going to notice this has on-road diesel in it. I had to do that legally because we are going to fill up our on-road vehicle out of this. So it does cost me quite a bit more. I have to pay a road tax credit for this, even though I'm burning it in our tractors. But for the convenience that we're getting, the fact that I didn't have to pay for the tank makes sense to do it. But because we're a smaller operation here and we're going to be slowly turning this tank over, I still think it makes sense to treat this and occasionally check on any growth in there. We can cut back the treatment if we need to. Now, I bought a product called BioBore. Highly recommended on Amazon. Reviews look good for long-term storage, and it's rated for bulk diesel tanks. This little container right here treats 2,500 gallons. So we're gonna have to be careful how much we put in here because we do not want to over-treat. The other thing, this is already full of diesel. I didn't get a chance to put this in the other day because they came, and I didn't really know they were coming, to be honest, storming, and they dropped this off, got it filled up, and we're gone to beat the rain. The good news is we can put it right in here in this fill cap, and we can just take the pump, put right over here. It's pulling from the bottom. We'll pump back in and we'll circulate this. Already looked up the specs on that pump. It's got a 30-minute duty cycle. You can run it for 30 minutes straight at 20 gallons a minute, and then it has to be off for 30 minutes. We're probably just gonna run it 8 to 10 minutes. That'll recirculate several hundred gallons, get some flow going in there, and we should have a decent mixture. If y'all wanna look at the label of this, and if any of y'all are using this, let me know. All right, so it looks like this container is gonna last me all year long, and then some. And as y'all can see, this is for the treatment of microbial growth in fuel. Yes, it exists. All right, so the other thing I'm genuinely curious about, we're running this off my solar setup. This looks like a really big pump. Let's go see how many watts it's pulling once we kick this on right here. I've got a huge battery in there. I'm not concerned about just pumping and filling a few tractors or vehicles for the day. But I am curious about the power demand of a 20-gallon-a-minute pump. It's definitely got a healthy flow. Man, that's gonna fill up everything on so quick. Now I will say, that pump is loud. So it says 5.5 amps at 115 volts. That should be well over 600 watts. Let's see. Now, of course, depending on if there's head pressures and everything else, how far it's pulling down. And we're only outputting 460 watts, 450. So that is excellent. I was thinking that was going to pull a lot more power than that. That's not going to put a dent in this battery for the few minutes that I'm going to run. That's great to know. And I love the fact that I now have solar powered bulk fuel for daily use or emergency use. That's pretty cool. Soon to come, non-ethanol fuel, the best kind of gas there is. This is gonna be so nice. Oh man. This is the kind of stuff that makes me feel like I'm living high on the hog. Not fancy vacations, not no fancy car. A diesel tank with a pump. Woo! I guess I'm pretty simple. Pretty sure this is automatic cutoff nozzle. I may test it out right here. I'd be a bit nervous about walking away, but it claims it'll do it. This tank's already almost full and it was halfway down. Haha, it cut off automatically. Nice. I can walk away while this fills up. Perfect. Top it off. So another benefit that people don't think about with bulk fuel is cost savings. I got really big into this last year when I started thinking about things. I am all about spending more money up front if it's gonna save us money. We go to Costco and Sam's, we buy certain goods like toilet paper and other things in bulk to save money. You can do it with your fuel as well. So something else I've been really thinking about that big diesel tank is going to allow us to do is to price shop. Fuel fluctuates wildly all throughout the year depending on what's just going on in the world. So having a larger diesel tank is going to allow me to run for a little while, and then when I see prices drop, call them up, hey, bring me a few hundred gallons in bulk and take advantage of the price drop. That's exactly what I do with our gigantic propane tank. We had a 120-gallon tank by the house and it served our needs just fine. However, because we would get small fill-ups, the company at that time that was filling us up was charging us a crazy amount of money. So I called up another company. This is actually an old high school buddy of mine. This is J&J Gas Company right here. Oddly enough, not related to the J&J diesel tank down there, two completely different companies. And I told him I wanted to try to get a 1,000-gallon tank. He didn't have them at the time, but I said 500 would work because that's a huge tank for us. Think about this. Now, that's really about 3 years worth of propane for us for our needs for cooking and for our water heater. But what this allows me to do is during off-peak season, propane always has that. Call up, hey, come out here, bring me a couple 100 gallons at the heavily discounted price and save money. So on my first fill up, let me tell you how much I saved. The company that was coming out and filling our little small tank, at the time, stuff was high. They were charging me $4.59 a gallon. I got this tank, and because I got several hundred gallons brought out in a big bulk delivery, well, long story short, I think it wound up costing me like $2.89 a gallon. Now prices fluctuate. This was a while back, but I saved $600 versus what the other company was charging me because I could buy in bulk and I can take advantage of the price shopping. So keeping stuff that's not necessarily going to go bad doesn't do you no good to buy stuff in bulk. It's going to go bad, but everything from household goods to fuel, you can really price shop. A lot of people don't think about that whenever you go with larger tanks and larger fuel systems. All right, so Tiffany has been on me as if I don't have enough chores to do to prune our oak limbs. So we're gonna do that in this episode as well. You see, I just hooked up to the grapple. We're gonna drop a lot of these limbs on the ground. I'm just gonna pick them up and haul them off. They're so aggravating, they're not even worth running through the chipper. So why do we need to cut all these limbs?
Well, whenever I start mowing every day, no.
You're tired of getting smacked in the face?
Yes, for sure. So we got to make room for that lawnmower to go around these trees real good.
That's exactly right. So our new mower has a relatively tall roll bar, and you just can't get up underneath these. And it looks so much better when they're pruned back anyways, I think. So I think Ruger is super excited about us hanging out with him. So we're going to prune these back. And like I said, grab them with the tractor. We're just only gonna prune about 3 to 4 feet. Now here's the key. Whenever you're pruning, you try to do that during the cold months of the year. That's when a tree is relatively dormant. Pines, for example, and other types of trees will pull sap back down toward the roots to protect themselves. So especially with the oaks, you try to do it in the coldest time of the year. Winter, we're all actually getting a bit late right now. So let's go ahead and make this happen so we don't kill our oak trees.
All right, so before you get chopping on this tree, do you remember what happened to this tree?
So yeah, this tree's got some history. Tiffany wanted me to talk about it. This one looks pitiful and small compared to all the other ones for a few reasons. So I remember when I first planted this tree, deer come out and about rubbed it to death.
That was probably...
Yeah, it did about
that one maybe.
Just about destroyed the bark on it. I mean, I just got these trees planted, proud of them, had a hard time finding them, and a buck come out of the woods and just about destroyed it.
So I think that was the first stunt of this tree.
Yeah.
Kind of keep it a little bit smaller.
Yep, and it didn't want to grow well after that. What's the other ones? I can't remember.
So I think it was the only other time the guy that came and put the gutters up, he backed into it.
No, I think I might have hit it with a truck or something one time too. It seems like it had multiple incidents. And then, yeah, that's right. The contractor was here working on the house. Like this poor tree, I think it might have blew over in the tornado or something. I can't remember. It
Something else, probably 3 different things happened to
Yeah.
it. So we're surprised it's even made it this far.
Yeah, I won't ever forget that day. The contractor said, he comes to the house, say, hey man, I apologize. He said, I just run over one of your trees backing out of here. I was like, okay, what is it? And I was like, this poor tree can't catch a break. This jugger was bent all the way over, roots coming out the ground. We pushed it back and it's trying to hang in there, but it does not look very good at all. We're probably absolutely going to kill it now, cutting these limbs off.
Well, we won't try to cut too much off, I guess.
We can't. It's not tall enough. We're going to have to leave some of these lower ones or we're going to really stun it bad. So I was telling them when I was down there talking about our new diesel fuel and storage tank that we're so excited to have, to have. I never bring up the Amazon stuff or affiliate stuff in our videos, and I have no intentions of doing that. That's not why I'm bringing it up today, but I was thanking everybody because the last few months worth of affiliate sales and commissions that we've earned off of Amazon, and a bonus they did too because everybody's been shopping and using our link. That's what we use to buy not only the pump, get the tank here, but put a few hundred gallons of diesel in it. So like, means the absolute world to us.
We much appreciate it, and thank you for your continued support on that. It means so much to us to be able to do things like this and you know, help out the channel and grow our channel. Yeah, so we just wanted to say thank you again. We're not talking about this to make you go there. And thank you so much for just watching our content and hanging out with us. It's surprising. We've picked up, like, between both of our social media platforms last month, I think it was close to 40,000 followers. Awesome. So that's pretty awesome. Thank y'all so much for supporting what we do.